What is up? Welcome back to the video. Welcome back to the video. What is up? Welcome back to the channel, team. Today we're giving some love to the 13B E36 Ute. This thing has been sitting in the back of the factory for a while now, and I love it, man. I love it so much, and it's got to me to the point where I'm like, nope, I want to do a video on it and I want to start working on it, especially because we have events coming up probably maybe soon, and I don't want to get caught off guard by this thing still sitting here when we need to take it to an event. So let's do some work on it. First things first, look at this crummy, dirty, greasy engine bay. You might not believe me, but we did actually sparkle paint this engine bay and clear it using cans when we first did it, and it doesn't even look like that now because it's all manky and gross, and we didn't do the best job of it. We now know how to spray engine bays, and I'm like, all right, sweet, let's do the rotary engine bay. So today, we're going to attack this thing. First though, we need to attack it with some degreaser. We need to spray it with a pressure washer, and we can pretty much spray it after that. There's not many things to kind of take off before we paint the bay, which is fantastic. And then I also want to take the intake manifold off, paint that pink, the same color as the car. We'll paint the throttle body silver. We'll just do a bunch of stuff basically to dress the whole bay up, and also just fix up some wiring, because our ECU is going to come back soon from Roland at Wankel Garage. We're going to have our churn, and we should be able to have this thing kind of schmick up and running by next week and ready for some freaking events. But first things first, I'm going to push it outside and we're going to degrease it and pressure wash it. Enjoy this next wee montage.
Who am I without you?
Look at that, all of the frickin' gunk is gone. This thing has so much potential to look like such a tidy engine bay, especially because the rotary is so small. There's so much room everywhere. But yeah, everything's super clean. That degreaser works very, very well. I think I'll do the engine again at some point, because we could get it even better, I reckon. Spray it and just let it sit for a while, but for now I'm going to take out the headlights, indicators, and then mask everything up. I blew everything off with the compressor, so it should be pretty well dry in the next, 10 minutes, and then I'll sparkle, and then we'll lay down some clear. Easy as that. We are masked up. Time to lay down some glitter. You know how this goes by now? We don't have a lot left, so love this stuff. Alright, so we have the glitter laid down, and I literally ran out right at the end when I got it all done, which is perfect. Now I've got the clear mixed up, so we're going to go ahead, lay it down. We'll leave it overnight, come back tomorrow and pick up where we left off. I freaking love laying this stuff down, it's so good. Let's get it done. Let's go. Just like that, we have another galactic looking engine bay, and I'm over the moon. It's crazy what a good coat of paint will do to an engine bay. We put a 13B into a frickin' E36, so this thing really does deserve to look as good as it sounds, and so I'm happy to take some time and make this thing as good as it needs to be. Right now we need to let this dry overnight. We're going to come back tomorrow and continue working on this frickin' beast of a car. This is looking sick. Hell yeah. So we're going to push this inside, leave it for the night, and I'll see you guys in the morning. You. Alright, we are back, day 2, working on the 13B Ute engine bay. It looks fantastic. Come up super nice, way better than it was before. So really happy with that. Now I'm starting to take the intake manifold off the engine. Keen to see everything that's going on underneath it because I haven't actually taken it off yet. And we're going to start tidying things up. I've actually sorted out an intake as well. So what we're going to need to do is cut this hole a little bit bigger because we're going to have the intake come from here down and through the weir well, because last track day when we took this thing out, all the hot air coming from the radiator was going into the intake because I had it like here, and the intake temps were about 80 degrees. And then when we made our quick cardboard one that came down through the weir well, even though it was made of cardboard and tape, it worked super well, and the intake temps dropped down to about 30 or even below degrees, which is a huge change. So that's how we're going to run it. But yeah, we're going to tidy all this up. I'm thinking about spraying this pink, but I'm just going to pull it off and kind of see how it all looks first. It should look pretty cool sprayed pink, I think. It is a bit of a pain in the bum with these RX-8 motors that they have the ugly plastic intake manifold. Me and Woz were thinking about getting a flange made and actually making a custom intake manifold out of like mild steel or something and welding it all up with the throttle body and just having it look fancy. But that's probably something we may do down the line. Just right now we kind of can't, I guess, justify spending the time on that when we've got so many other things to do with the Fivo and the E36 and the Datsun all in the build at the same time. So yeah, but just really keen to get this build up to the spec of our other cars now that we're starting to do things a little bit better and nicer and neater on the channel. So it already looks way better just with the engine bay sprayed. So a couple of minor changes with the engine, and this thing should look absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you can hear my voice or not, but I'm a little bit unwell at the moment, so there is a chance that we may have to skip tomorrow's video if I have to kind of chill out and recover. It's a bit of a bummer, but in the current climate and situation, I'll have to go get a COVID test because I'm a bit run down, and then isolate and wait for the end result. What a fun world we live in at the moment. Anyway, let's get tearing this 13B apart and see what it all looks like. Alrighty, we've got our pile of intake manifold stuff here. So here's the actual intake manifold, and then here is our throttle body, and then here's like the piece where you put the oil into the engine. So but that's all attached usually to the intake manifold. So the idea here, just to tidy things, make things look a little bit prettier, because the engine's not the prettiest engine in the world with this manifold. I'm going to cut a couple of tabs off it that I don't need. We're going to use the Dremel just to smooth a couple of the edges out to make them look a bit nicer. Degrease everything. We'll paint this pink because it's, you know, why not? We've got some spare pink paint left from the E36 when we painted it, so we'll get that done. Paint the silver. We're going to put it all back together. It's going to look super tidy, super pretty, and hopefully just spice up the engine bay a little bit. Time to spray some paint. I've already plastic primered our intake manifold that's hanging up over here. That means that we can actually lay down some proper primer, and then we can lay down the pink. I've already sprayed the silver on the throttle body. She's looking banging. Hell yeah. Dan's just doing some weird ass crap over here. Tara's here, hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
Oh my gosh, how are you all? I missed you.
Yeah, they missed you too because you don't show up very much these days. Let's spray some primer and get some pink onto this. Alright, Father Muckers, it's time to spray the pink. One of my favourite colours I've ever sprayed. Let's do it. Alright guys, suss this out. Beautiful bits all painted, ready to chuck back together. So we'll do that now. Man, that pink is so cool. I'm not going to clear it, right? I don't want it looking like that over the top in the engine bay. I think the matte sparkly pink actually looks really cool. So I'm going to leave it as is. Dan thinks I'm being lazy, but I actually really just like it. So if I wanted to clear it, I could chuck some clear in the gun and do it. But nah, so we'll throw it back together. We're going to sit in the car and kind of see how it all looks, and we're going to work on our intake as well. That out. This is the most rewarding part of the process, when all this stuff comes together. But that looks sick. Not only is it clean, but it's pink and it just looks freaking rad. So now we'll take it to the car and kind of see how it all looks thrown back together. Here it is, guys. This is it as it sits. I've just got it mocked up for now because there's a bunch of wiring under the intake manifold that I'm going to go ahead and delete. Now, from the offset, instantly I am not a huge fan of the pink intake manifold as it sits. I think if we chuck some sparkle on it and then clear it, it's going to tie in nicely with the rest of the engine bay. Just as it sits, I think that I've made a bad call in terms of having it matte, but the engine bay itself is looking a million times better. So I've added the intake pipe that'll go down here. I need to make this cut a little bigger as it sits, I think, because we're going to add the pod filter. We've got the airflow meter that needs to go there as well. So the airflow meter will probably sit somewhere around here. So it goes 3 inch to 3.5 inch, I think this is. And then we'll have the pod filter sitting in through that hole down in the air well, so it gets the cold air. But it looks so good. It looks a million times better. So absolutely pumped on this. It was definitely time to step it up with all the engine bay fancy stuff that we've been doing with all the other cars. So yeah, pretty over the moon with this setup now. And that is it for today. We're currently waiting on the ECU to turn back up from Roland at Wankel Garage. I cannot wait to plug that in and hear this thing brat for the first time. Very interested to see how that all comes together, to be honest. I'm sure you guys are too. As I said, I'm feeling pretty under the weather, and it's gotten a little bit worse throughout today since I've been filming. So I'm off to get a COVID test. Wait for the result tomorrow. So you may or may not get a video tomorrow depending on how I'm feeling. But health is always the most important thing. So I'm gonna go home now, edit this video, take a nap. But yeah, just freaking pumped on this thing. Honestly, this thing is so freaking cool. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. As always, I love it when you guys have your opinion, even if it is something that I don't want to hear, so feel free to chuck that in. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace!